ScandiPWA Docker setup comes with two options. You can either run it with frontend and without frontend. What is the frontend container? Well, frontend container is a container which completely replaces the frontend for the application. So instead of Magento serving you the frontend, the Webpack dev server does it for you. So let me showcase you this. Well, here we have the production. Let's call it production, and let's call it development. So in development mode, you will have additional flag called -f docker compose dot frontend dot YAML. So this is additional file which you will need to include. So you will have your docker compose -f blah 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 -f docker compose frontend YAML up -d to start it. Or you can use DCF alias, which stands for docker compose with frontend. And the difference here will be that all requests to /GraphQL or /admin will be directed to Magento 2, so handled on the backend server. And all other URLs like /category, blah blah blah, /1, 2, 3, etc., they will be handled by Webpack dev server. And this Webpack dev server will be running in container called frontend. So here's how it is. So just to repeat, in development mode, you need to add additional file, docker compose frontend YAML, or use the alias DCF to start it. And you can URLs like GraphQL and admin will be handled by admin, so you will be by Magento, so you will be able to go into Magento admin or receive the valid GraphQL responses from Magento. But URLs like category, URLs like products, etc., they will be handled by the Webpack dev server. So what does it mean? This means that for this setup, we have multiple I would say little issues. So the first one is customization won't work. So customization doesn't work in this setup. You might know that ScandiPWA supports color and content customization. Well, in development mode, it won't function. Additionally, the URL rewrites /redirects won't function, so you won't be able to use your URL rewrites or redirect from one URL to another. Why? Because of course Magento router is not involved in the response generation, and instead the Webpack dev server does it for you. But what are the pluses? Why it's done in the first place? First of all, it watches the files. But which files does it watch? It of course watches and compiles files from app, design, frontend, ScandiPWA. So it watches your files from a theme directory, and when those are changed, it recompiles. But why can't we do it without the Webpack dev server? Why can't we use simple Webpack? Well, because it uses in-memory cache. So it does in-memory caching, which allows for very quick compartment and only files changed are recompiled, and every file which was around it is just reused. This allows for a quick recompilation. Those are the notes which you have to remember when working with frontend container. For production, you must remember that first of all, every request is handled by Magento, is handling all requests. And additionally, you must remember that any change in app design, blah, 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 the folder of ScandiPWA theme, the ScandiPWA theme folder, any change will require you to run a following command: npm run build. So from its directory. So this means that any change in production will require you a full recompilation. Any change in development mode will automatically be compiled and sent to the frontend and immediately rendered, hot reloaded. That's a big difference. That's a big difference to remember. And also here, you must remember that Magento is aware of what's going to happen on this page. So the URL rewrites and customization will work in production mode. So if you want to check your customization, you need to switch into production mode and remove -f docker compose.frontend.yaml file from the stack. This is the big difference between frontend and production mode. Let's now see how to enable this mode and how to get into it and what is the difference. So first, also remember that you must do it. You must firstly set up without the frontend container. So first setup must be done in production. Remember this. The second thing is in the docs we can find the setup instructions for production and development. So the production I already showed you how to set up. For development, let's see. Once again, we're using DCF now, up-d. So let's see it. We will run DCF up-d, remove orphans, and we can see that the front-end container will be created, but there is one little subtle change I need to do, is I need to change the Xdebug configuration back. The project image should be latest if you don't debug. So now if we will force recreate or set up the frontend container, we should notice that the frontend container appears in the stack and starts to function. Let's wait until it's set up, and then we will use the front logs command to see how is it progressing. So let's see front logs. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it seems like the front logs alias has some issues. We will fix this soon. While we haven't fixed it, we write DCF logs -f frontend, and we can notice that the application has failed to compile. Let's now try to set up the development setup instead of production. So to do it, we need to run DCF up-d, remove orphans. So let's try it out. We run it, and it looks like it's only creating the front-end container and then recreating the Nginx, MailDef, and Varnish, because those containers are dependent on the front end. And finally the SSL. Cool. Containers are recreated. Let's use the front logs command to see what is the application container doing, front-end container doing. And as you might notice, it does some building. Yeah, it has a lot of logs initially. So if we scroll to the very bottom, we'll see that, boom, it's successfully compiled. And this is what you should expect to see according to documentation. So let's see. If we're using the development command, the front logs should output us the compiled successfully. And if we check this out, yes, we do have this output. Well, this means only one thing. We should go to ScandiPWA local and check. And in a first glance, nothing has been changed, except now if we create any file or if we edit something in the front-end setup, it should auto reload it. So let's check it out. Let's check if it does work. So to do it, let's cancel the log watch and open the ScandiPWA base in the VS Code. And now let's change anything in app design frontend ScandiPWA. Let's, by the way, open this folder specifically. So I will copy the relative path, and instead of this, I will open it. Yeah, and here we go. We opened the application itself, the ScandiPWA theme. Let's create the app folder here. You can find how you can speed up and install the extension for optimizing the speed, for optimizing your experience, this ScandiPWA extension, by following this link. So we have, assuming you have extension installed, I am pressing extend source component, and let's check one. Let's, for example, do the, I don't know, let's go for breadcrumbs. And let's only override these styles. Let's extend those styles. So what we should get here is import. Yes, something went really wrong here. So it should be export default breadcrumbs like this. Amazing. So import breadcrumbs, imports override styles, and export default breadcrumbs. Looks great. Okay. You might see that ESLint is configured. If you want to configure ESLint, follow this link as well. It will help you to set it up and get the same notifications if we see you're doing something wrong. Finally, you can open the override file. Notice that once again it's full of warnings because of course the style lint is now working. And let's see what can we change. Well, let's see first of all where breadcrumbs are displayed. Let's go to some page like woman dresses. Oh, here is the breadcrumbs. Cool. Let's inspect this element. Let's make it wider. And let's inspect this element and see who on this element has a background color. So we can see that this element has a class breadcrumbs, and all of its children have like breadcrumbs dash list styles. This is BAM. You can learn more about BAM by following this link. But overall, what we want to find now is where the color of breadcrumbs is set. So as you can see, this is done in the breadcrumbs class or on the block of the breadcrumbs. Let's copy this style. Let's, by the way, change not the color, but the variable color. So let's change the variable color. Let's check, let's set on the root element. We want the breadcrumbs background. Am I right? Breadcrumbs background. I'm right. we want it to be, for example, red. Let's set it to red. And let's check if it's working. Now we should get the red breadcrumbs, and we do. This is because the front-end container is immediately compiling the styles and anything which is in the app front-end ScandiPWA, app design front-end ScandiPWA, PWA. Yeah. So we have changed the file and we can see the change here reflected.